All right, so first off, thank you, Carly, for this time. Carly is, of course, one of our group members, and she's going to be our final interview for this project. So, Carly, I just want to give you the floor. Can you start by introducing yourself and explaining your connection to our topic?
So, hi guys, my name's Carly. Again, I'm working alongside Francisco, Daniela, and Jonathan with our project. And part of the reason we chose this project is because we had personal experiences with ableism. I'm sharing my experience with my cousin. My cousin grew up with a learning disability, and I was very close with him. And I helped him a lot, and he helped me a lot in ways that I didn't notice until now. He really shaped me how I see inclusion and like learning differences and just how to be patient with others. I was really close to this cousin. Growing up, I spent a lot of my time with him. He had a learning disability that made it harder for him to process information, and I always had to help him like keeping up with school, and especially with things like reading and homework, even though we weren't in the same grade. It was normal for me, but at the same time, I could tell that things were harder for him to understand than most kids.
Thank you. And you did mention that you would help him with homework. Can you tell us what that experience was like for you? And if there were moments where you would feel frustrated, and then what about those moments would make it difficult for you?
So, truly, I did feel frustrated a lot of the time. I can depict a very specific moment. It was at my parents' old business, at our family's actually old business, and we were in the office, and he had multiple multiplication charts like to do, and at that point, I was around in the second grade, and we were learning about the same thing. And mind you, he was like 3 years older than me, so him being like in the sixth grade and working with the same things was very confusing for me. So it was frustrating. It was frustrating that sometimes the 2 times 2 became more like a 15 times 2 type deal. And I remember I felt really impatient at times because I just didn't fully understand what was going on. Like, take into consideration I was like 10 years old maybe, is when I started specifically helping him with homework. I think I expected him to learn the same way that I did, and looking back I realized that my frustration came from not understanding his learning differences. Now I see that he was struggling because he wasn't struggling because he wasn't trying. He just needed support in a different kind of way that even at the time I couldn't offer him.
Yeah, and of course, like you mentioned, you were still pretty young, and now, as like at the age that you are now, you're of course a lot more mature and a lot more knowledgeable. Over the years, did your understanding of what intelligence or success looked like, did that change as a result of that relationship with your cousin?
It changed how I saw people with learning differences. I grew up going to a school that was completely different from Christian Ray. So we did have like classes for students who had special needs and special learning disabilities. So it made me see them not just like as another classroom and not just as other people. It made me just be more patient with them and more aware that not everybody learns the same and not everybody's going to grasp the concept the same. And that information takes more time to sit with different people for it to like genuinely make sense sometimes. It also changed how I think about like smart versus dumb in a way. Like being smart doesn't necessarily determine that you learn things fast, or being smart isn't like a natural thing. Sometimes there's things that like get in the way of people being quote unquote what society might see as like intelligent. And I think like I continue to kind of live with that, especially like when as an NHS member, like I have to, I have to tutor either younger people or people in my same grade. And it really like challenges me to still be patient and to still like continue to see the same lessons that I used to see with my cousin, not in the learning disability way, but in the way that like sometimes information just doesn't retain the same way it might for me.
Well, you did mention earlier that you went to a school that had those separate classes for students with special needs. From that experience, do you think that schools do a good job supporting students like your cousin?
I think it varies. I think in different environments, it might be determined differently. I think overall, like, schools do a good job at teaching the material. I think sometimes we may see communities not really respect that everybody's different. And a lot of the times, I think just everybody expects everybody to learn the same way. And that can lead to a lot of students feeling left out or feeling left behind in lessons. And that causes anxiety to a lot of students, especially like when it comes to like speaking up about it, because not everybody, especially with those with learning disabilities, can correctly like come up with those questions like, oh, like what are the next steps, like how can I do this better, how do I do that better. And I think people might understand that students with learning disabilities are less capable, which isn't true. It's just, I think I keep repeating the same thing. It's just that learning is different. And they do have strengths, but that might not be recognized in the classroom. So I think it really does come down to, especially a lot of students with special needs, and coming from my cousin, they do what is seen, and they do like what's put in front of them. So if you say something like about anything, it's going to be reciprocated because that's what they do grasp. And I think if teachers in schools do a good job at showing them that it's more about inclusivity and not about the difference, in a way, they can grasp that they too are capable, and not that idea that they are less.
Now, trying to kind of tie all this back to the CST themes that we've been learning in theology, how does your experience connect to these ideas like dignity, inclusion, or treating others with respect and equality?
My experience connects directly to the dignity of the human person, because it shows that everybody deserves to be patient with, to have patience, to have respect, no matter how they learn, no matter, even going broader, like no matter what they look like, who they are, where they come from. Inclusion isn't just about letting someone be there. It's about making them feel valued in where they are. To someone who feels frustrated, I would say that it's okay to feel that way, and it's okay to not be patient at first. But it's important to take a step back and try to understand where the other person, where they are, and not the place in their life, I want to say, but to really just understand their point of view, kind of put yourself in their shoes. And in that case, patience will continuously come up and seem very relevant.
Yeah, I see there you gave some advice to people who may be going through a similar experience as yourself. Now, in speaking more generally, what is one thing that you want people to take away from your story?
I want people to take away that learning is different, but it doesn't always mean that it's less than. It just means that we need to change the way that we support them. And that it really comes to adapting. And I think sometimes as humans, we're very selfish and we want people to adapt to us, but we also have to create those same sacrifices for others, especially if it uplifts their dignity and uplifts our faith.
All right. Well, that will conclude our interview. Thank you very much, Carly, for your time and for being open to share this experience with us. And thank you to everyone for watching our interviews and videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe.